Hey you guys, Ryan here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the new meta for Season 4 Reloaded. If you're looking for those NZ and Marco slash Blixen replacements, then this is probably going to be the video for you. We're going to jump right in with talking about the 5 guns I think are going to replace the NZ. At number 1, we're going to have the Cooper Carbine. At number 2, the Kilo and M13. Number 3, the Krig and Farah. Number 4 is going to be the Whitley. And number 5 is going to be the Vargo 52. Now, I don't actually have these ordered in any particular way because it's just a little too early to really tell what's going to be king. I just genuinely believe any of those options you just saw on the screen are more than likely going to be good enough for you to use, and especially the Kilo and M13 I think are going to be very popular picks. Now, I'm not saying those guns are going to be outright the best ARs in the entire game and they're going to be better than the NZ yada yada. What I do think though is those guns are super easy to use. They just got buffed and they're gonna feel great. I was using the Kilo in Fortune's Keep and I'm gonna show some of that gameplay later, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. I think if you play Caldera in the bigger maps, you want to use guns like the Krig and M13, but if you're playing the smaller maps, that's where you want to use the Farah or the Kilo. And that's why I'd also recommend to still use the Cooper. The Cooper has kind of slid under the radar because the STG and the NZ-41 were just so good for so long, but the Cooper is actually one of the best assault rifles in the entire game right now, and I'd easily recommend for people to use it. The other thing to keep an eye out is going to be the fact that there's a new AR in Warzone called the Vargo S. There's already the Vargo 52 from Cold War, and there's now a Vargo S in Vanguard, and there is a chance that this thing is going to be absolutely meta, but from my testing, it's going to need a little bit more of a better build. So I will say keep your eye on the new AR because that could really creep up in the meta. And the last thing I want to touch on is, guys, right now, I think it's more about using what you like. If you like Cold War guns like the Krig and Farah, feel free to use those. If you like Vanguard ARs, use those. If you like Modern Warfare guns like the Kilo, M13, M4, A1, and AMAX, use those. I think what they're trying to do is balance the meta for almost every game and almost every playstyle, and I think this is a much healthier approach to the overall game and the meta and weapon balance. So now I want to move into the SMGs. And at number 1, we have the MP40. Number 2, the Type 100 and Sten for solo duos. Number 3, the Wellgun. Number 4, the Blixen and Marco. And last but not least, the 2 MP5s. I still think that the Blixen and Marco are actually still going to be relevant in the meta, but I don't think they're going to dominate. I now genuinely believe that the MP40 is probably going to be one of, if not the best SMGs in the game, but I can't guarantee that. I just think if you look at the close range damage and the mobility and ease of use, this is now probably the best SMG in the game, and I'm pretty comfortable saying that, but I don't think it's just going to dominate like the Blixen and Marco have been. I think what's going to more happen is you're going to have more choices in the SMG category, and that's why I have such a big list. On that list, I didn't even actually have the Mac 10 or the Bullfrog, and both of those I think are going to be really, really good. I think the Kilo Mac 10 is going to be one of those slept on classes that's actually going to be super fun to use, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy using it. I think what you have to keep in mind right now is that of course some things could be different, but I think they're trying to make the meta wide open. I know I keep coming back to this, but I do think it's really important to talk about. It does seem like before this patch, their priority was making certain Vanguard guns super meta so they could sell blueprints and all of that. But now that Vanguard is winding down, we're almost to Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2, it's now just going to be about making all guns good. Now, of course, I can't guarantee that this is actually what's going on, but if you look at the patch notes, if you look at the fact that they buffed guns like the Modern Warfare Uzi, the M13, they buffed the Kilo, and then they nerfed almost every major Vanguard gun in the game, well, to me, that says they're having a design philosophy change, and I think that's going to just make a better experience for all of us players. Now, I'm going to actually talk about snipers right now for a little bit, and the main sniper I'd heavily recommend using is going to be the 3-line rifle, but if you're not looking to just use a Vanguard sniper, then I'd use either the ZRG from Cold War or the HDR from Modern Warfare. I think all 3 of those options are the king of their respective games for Caldera. If you are mainly a player who plays on smaller maps, then I would still suggest to use the Swiss or Modern Warfare Kar 98, but I'd also consider using the Vanguard Kar 98. That just seemed to have gotten a little buff too, and that's actually looking pretty good in my opinion. But I do think if you're playing on the bigger map, you obviously kind of have to default to snipers that actually have a one-shot headshot range beyond 50 meters. Now, I really just want to talk about a couple key things here, guys. The meta is going to open up within the next week or two, and I think people are going to obviously find the more broken things. But for this first week, I think we're going to have a pretty enjoyable meta, and you should feel free to use almost whatever you want. I hope that when you watch this video, you take the gun suggestions as good general advice, but if you feel like you should use a gun because you think it's going to be good, feel free to try it, because I don't think there's going to be any one dominating gun like the NZ's been dominating long-range guns for the past 2 months or so. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you actually find a little bit. I hope it actually helped you find some new guns to use, and I hope it genuinely helps you understand the new patch a little better. Anyways, guys, it's been Ryan. I hope you have a good day. Peace.